Hi, I'm Vanessa and welcome back to my sewing room. Today is going to be so fun. We are going to be doing a Scraptacular Holiday Edition. Today we're going to be taking all of our scraps and making wonderful gift sets. So let's jump in. Up first is one of my favorites, is what I'm calling the head to toe bundle. What I'm using here is the free sock pattern, as well as the free scrunchie pattern and the Frisky panties. These are so comfortable, all three of them together, and I even used lingerie lace. So let me show you how I made this wonderful, soft, cozy bundle. So I love making useful things with my sewing machine. It brings so much joy to my heart being able to use scraps and then get something so useful like underclothes. And this Frisky panties pattern is so easy to do, but your end result definitely looks store-bought. I love this fabric that I have. I've been hoarding it forever, making little projects out of it. And today was the day where I decided that it was enough. I needed to use this and make the perfect gift. These free sock pattern, I was not sure if I was going to like these, but I ended up loving them. I've been seeing so many cute handmade socks on Etsy that I decided that this was definitely the year to give this a try. And these did not disappoint. All the seams make it very comfortable and fitted to my foot. And then using my sewing machine instead of the serger makes it feel absolutely seamless. And then you have the cutest socks. And since socks are sew-in style, they're perfect. Now here you see I'm cutting the scrunchie and the socks with paper patterns. This is because I know I'm going to be using this pattern a lot through the holiday season, and I don't want to turn on my projector every single time. So here's a scrunchie, socks, and the underwear right here. These underwear come together so fast. So you have the gusset in the center and you just want to mark where it's going to lay, and then you flip it over with the right sides down, and you're just going to zigzag stitch, or lightning stitch would probably give you smoother results than what I have. Just make sure that you use a stretch stitch here, and then it's going to flap down, and you'll see that you're not going to see any seams here. Now, to not get any seams on the back of the gusset, you put the right sides together with front and back and wrap the gusset around, and then the gusset attaches to those two front and back pieces, and you're just going to clip it. And then once you serge it, you can see that you have that gusset in seamlessly, and it's starting to look like a store-bought piece of underclothes. Now I also like to baste right here. You can see that I have the gusset base to the front and the back, and once I serge those sides, things are coming together fast. I bought some lingerie lace elastic to help me make these all look very nice and professional. And I'm just adding this onto the waist and the legs at a 90% stretch. You can cut out, they have a side length size guide, but I just like to use the lace in one big piece and then stretch at the 80%. Now the scrunchie, every year I'm telling you, I need to look up the instructions on how to make this scrunchie correctly. Luckily, Ellie Mac gives amazing instructions on how to do their free patterns. So I'm always so appreciative of that. Sometimes you get a free pattern and there is no instructions for it. So once you serge down the sides, and you leave a little opening, and then you are going to you're going to take those side edges and you're going to be putting them right side together, and then you're going to be closing that side closed. That little pieces that you left open on the sides is where your elastic comes in at. And the elastic is so much smaller. I think it was 7 inches for this long piece of fabric. And of course, that's what gives it the adorable scrunchy look. So once you've fed your 1/4 elastic through, you're just going to sew it together and then top stitch the edge and turn that inside out. Up next, we're going to actually sew together the socks, and these come together so easy. You sew down where the top is straight with right sides together, and you're going to go down both sides. And again, I'm using a zigzag stitch. I'm actually using it at a 3mm length. And once I get those side seams sewed up, you can see how I open the bottom, and then I'm able to put that oblong piece on top, and then I can just clip that in. And then this is sewing around the toe right here.
And I'm telling you, you will not even fill it with a zigzag stitch. And then you're going to be opening up on that edge, and then you can sew all the way around into the heel. This sock is so fast. I just love it. I can't believe making socks can be so easy, and having them homemade like this gives it such a cute little detail. Now, this lace on the edge, talk about details. You can use the band that they have for this, but I think using the elastic lace gives it such a cute little upgrade. So here's my socks. Here's the Frisky panties that I'm going to be sewing up together, and that's the toe, the body, and we can't forget the head. So the head to toe bundle comes together, and I realize that scrunchie is perfect to hold it all together. And we cannot forget the perfect little bow. This was so much fun, and I'm definitely going to be making more of these sets, probably without the underclothes for my just friends, but I think that this is so adorable, and I am so happy that I gave these free socks and free scrunchie a try this year.
So this bundle is so easy and fast to make. It's definitely one that you should use your sewing machine. I can show you right here with these socks. These socks, if you use your sewing machine, it will be so comfortable around the toe. This is an extra pair I made just for myself, and I will show you how wonderful these are. So definitely give this sock pattern a try this year, especially with lace and these fun little socks being so popular. It's definitely the year for you to make some socks. Now, up next, let's say that you're not underwear making close with somebody. This gift set is actually going to my daughter, but I get that sometimes you're just not that close with somebody to be making them underwear. I totally get that. And with the new toiletry bag from Ellie and Mac, the Tessa, it's even easier now to make a cute little toiletry bag. So if you've made the Stephanie before, you know that there's like 6 pieces of binding, and with this, you're down to 2. It's so quick and easy, and I love to add the towel and shower cap with this. This shower cap is even special because it has the satin inside, so it's kind of like a satin pillow that moves with you and that you're not going to stain with your face cream. So definitely this is a great way to go. Let me show you how I made it.
Here is some satin that I had in my stash for a while, as well as some really cute Kiss fabric. These ended up going together so nicely. It was like I bought them together. And then this right here is a 2-yard $4 bundle from Walmart. It's a stretch terry, and it was not really fantastic to make a sweater out of just because the texture of it is more towel-like on the inside, but it makes it perfect for this. And then here I'm cutting the interfacing and the fabric for the toiletry bag, and this comes together so fast. There is even an inside pocket, which makes me so excited. I made it out of the Kiss fabric, but I wish I would have made it out of the satin, so it was almost invisible in there, but it's okay. I'm learning on this new toiletry bag, but it is adorable. So here I'm making the pocket, and as you know, you always cut the edges of a rectangle or square before you turn it inside out. And this is just top stitched on. So again, it is definitely a very easy pocket to add, and it makes this toiletry bag so quick to make. So once I get it flipped out, you just want to top stitch the top of the bag to give it an extra little detail here, and then you're just going to be sewing it on, and there's a center seam down the center. Now here I'm attaching the zipper, so you just baste it on and then you actually sew it in between the lining fabric and you top stitch it to give it a nice cute little look. Now here I'm making the towel, and this comes together so fast, but I like to add elastic around the nap of my head, and I like to stretch it about 20% when I'm making it. Now here we're doing the nightcap, and again, it comes together so fast. Once you sew the big circle, you're going to be adding in your elastic and then just top stitching that in place. I did a no roll elastic, but if not, you can do a few different lines down the elastic to help secure it, and then you're just going to be closing up where you inserted the elastic at, and that makes this nightcap so quick and easy. And I was able to use scraps, whereas I think if I were to make like a satin pillowcase, I would definitely be using way more fabric. And then you're going to just top stitch where you added the elastic as well. So from here, it comes together so quick. Now all three of these gifts, I love them. Look, you can see the inside of the cap right here, and they work so well together. They're definitely one that you're going to want to pack with you, or if you want just in your house. And I love when you roll them up, they both look like little roses. As you can see, the little elastic on my towel, as well as a cute little button to help secure it. Both of these patterns are great to have, and it's like a two for, you get 3 patterns for 2. And so I love this. Look how adorable. Now I used a safety pin to help close up the opposite side. And you know, these little details to make it a nice finished gift set, I think are absolutely worth it. So I used a gold safety pin, and then I could easily wrap around my ribbon. The great thing about having that safety pin is you can actually thread through your ribbon so it holds it in the perfect spot, just like if you were to buy it at the store. And I find that so awesome. And then I love how all this looks together. Of course, you have to add a little extra ribbon around the lotion. But this is such a fun gift set, and I think anyone would be happy to have this. I definitely know that I would love the shower cap. I like to dye my hair with henna, and that would be perfect to wear at night instead of wearing my snow cap that I normally wear. So I definitely need to come back to this pattern and make one for myself.
I love this quilting fabric that I got. I got it on sale around Valentine's Day, and I'm so excited that I got to use it up in such an adorable way. Now, let's say that you're a little scared to do the zippers, especially on a curve. This next bundle is definitely for you. I haven't made this before, but now I'm going to be making more. Like, look how stinking cute that is. This is the moon bag, and this was the most fun I've had making a bag. So it's definitely one I'm going to be making more of. Look how cute. It uses Velcro. And then you open this up, and this is what makes it so magical. It opens up so you can put it on your counter and actually have a full view of your makeup. This bag is like my favorite thing. I will definitely be making more of these. It's so easy and so much fun. I have another towel wrap in here, as well as this is so cute. So you know the big bow, posh bow pattern, and I'm for sure you made some posh bows for your daughter, but making one for your friends or for yourself to hold back your hair while you're washing off your makeup and some terry fabric is going to change your life. I'm telling you, I love being able to wash my makeup off without getting all my hair wet, and I'm for sure my friends are going to appreciate it too. This is such a quick thing to make. And then you can also have, like, my daughter is learning how to sew. Making headbands is really cute as well. So definitely take a look at some of your older patterns because there might be the perfect gift inside. Let me show you how I made all these.
So I love this pattern. It comes together so easily. I actually teach a sewing class with my daughter and her friend, and this was one that we were able to make under an hour, so it's definitely beginner friendly. I love that it uses Velcro, and I actually like to sew these pieces on as I'm actually cutting them. So if I cut this piece and it needs to add the Velcro, I'm going to just add it right away so I don't lose the piece and I know exactly where it needs to go. So sometimes these smaller jobs while I'm cutting, and you've probably seen this quite a bit before, I like to just hurry up and get out of the way while I'm getting through it. And so as I was doing this, and I was cutting it, I was able to get everything prepared. So when it was finally time to sew everything together, it was just instant and this bag was done. So it's definitely one of those patterns where if you're using paper, definitely kind of sew and cut as you go because it is so quick. So here I'm doing, this is the handle piece. And again, I took it right directly to my iron and I top stitched it. And then I'm cutting out the actual circle part of this bag. And so this bag will lay flat. So when you put all your makeup in it, you can close it up nice and tightly, and then you can open it and have everything in view. And it will help keep the mess down in your bathroom as well as keep everything collapsed and together regularly. It's also perfect for when you're you're traveling. Now here you see a triangle, and I like to actually add the triangle in with circle patterns just so I know where they line up perfectly, just in case I miscut something, I know that it's going to line up no matter what. So that is definitely something I like to do. And then here is the casing. And the casing, you just need 2 of these, and this is what kind of helps scrunch up the whole bag together. Now, once I get everything cut out, so you can see I've already sewed that together, I'm going to iron it and top stitch it. And then here is the handle. Oh, I guess I did not already sew that up. I've made this bag already 3 times since this original bag. I love it so much. But you're just going to sew that together. Iron that together into a binding, and then you can take that binding over to your sewing machine and top stitch it down. And here I'm doing the casing as well. And the casing, you're just going to iron it in half, and then I rolled hemmed the edges of this, so I had finished edges on my casing. And this, again, it will come together so fast. Just watch. After you get all these pieces ironed and just do those little stitch work, then everything is clipped together and pinned. This is how I like to do it. You clip everything, and then I just took it over to my sewing machine and I did everything together. So as you can see here, I'm going to be adding the Velcro to the outside, as well as sewing on the handle that I have already prepped and the closure. And then it's time to just sew in the casing. And this is at the 3/8 inch seam allowance. And you're just going to go all the way around, and you're going to make sure that the openings are at the side of the bag and not at the front and back. And then you're going to be adding on the liner all the way around and leaving it open to turn out your bag. So once you turn out your bag, it's time to add the ribbon all the way through. And I like to have these little toggles on there as well. I learned a lesson though, if you're going to add toggles, you have to do little knots at the end so it doesn't slip out. So that is one thing I definitely learned, that the toggles will slip right out if you don't add the knots. And then after that, you can see how adorable this bag is. I'm going to need this in every single size. It's just so stinking cute. Okay, here's the posh bow. And again, all we're going to be doing is actually the headband part without the bow. And this is another one where I'm like, I think we're going to be making quite a few of these. So I opted to cut it out of paper. And you can see the adult size is the last size on the pattern. And then all you need is this little centerpiece right here to cut. And again, it's nice and little. And it wraps around. I keep losing this piece. That's why I'm like, it is so little. So make sure you don't lose it. And then you just sew it together, very similar to the scrunchie on the headband part. And then on the part that wraps around, you're just going to make a tube. And then you can just actually close it like normal. And the reason for this is that once you turn it out, everything is going to be covered. And I just love that. It makes it so nice and so easy. There's our posh bow for our makeup. Now this hair wrap, I did cut another one of these, and I'm telling you, if you add the elastic just 5 inches on both sides of the back of this towel, it will keep it from sliding off. I always have a hard time with these towel wraps, keeping them on my head, and adding that little piece of elastic is perfect. And then you add a cute little button.
So this is the size small. There's actually 3 sizes of this moon bag, so I definitely suggest you give it a try. So now that we have done all of our toiletries, socks, and underwear, I thought it'd be fun to go into a little bit more active wear. So my daughter comes to my yoga class. I teach a community yoga class, and she comes with me and she takes one of our older mats. And so this year she wanted to have a new yoga mat. And I decided it was a perfect year to use my yoga fabric. This fabric I've had for quite a while. I was actually using it to put rice in to make heating pads for my friends, which is also an amazing gift. But I decided that this year she definitely needed to have a new yoga mat, as well as a perfect carrying case. And this bag, oh my goodness, it is so easy to make. You can make it with a zipper pocket. This one I just top stitched it on, and that makes it even easier. The secret that I have here is I don't actually have one of those grommet kits, and I didn't want to actually buy one. So what I did here, and I'll show you how I do it, is I actually just sewed a square opening, and so I didn't have to buy a kit just for this particular sew. You know, I honestly should just buy a kit, right? How many times have I said this to you? I don't have a grommet kit yet. Let me show you how to make this yoga bag.
As you can tell, yoga is near and dear to my heart. Now, this pattern has 2 different sizes, and you want to make sure that you mark everything on the pattern as you're cutting, especially where the pockets are. And then you just cut 2 pockets, and then here you're cutting the top and the bottom of the mat that's going to be rolling over on that mesh part. Now, I actually cut 2 at the bottom, and then as you can see, I ironed it so I could find the exact center, and then I marked a mark that's about 3/4 of an inch square. So the 3/4 is a square width on both sides of it. And then I'm just going to be sewing around that with my sewing machine, making sure that I stay on those chalk marks. You can really make this any size you want, but I've noticed that if you go smaller than 3/4, it's ridiculously hard to turn it out because this fabric is actually going to turn inside of itself to reveal the little square. Now, what I like about this is it's an extra piece of fabric and it works as an interfacing here, and so it makes this a little more stable. So you're going to cut out the square and then flip it in side of itself, and then you need to make sure that you top stitch this, and it gives it such a nice finished edge, and it works in those times where you need a grommet but you don't have one. And I just love this little hack. I think it does look so nice, and it's definitely one that I come to over and over again. Now, as you can see, this panel piece says for mesh, and the mesh does help. If you do hot yoga, you definitely want to have mesh so it has a little piece of breathable fabric. But because this is my daughter's, I like to use fabric from her great-grandparents and so this is a vintage piece of fabric that I have in my stash that I save for like little Christmas gifts for my kids so they know that they have their great-grandparents with them. And then you're going to be adding those end pieces. So these are the pieces that are going to be just a little fun design, and you're going to be adding them to the side panel so it gives a little more design element. So this is the bottom, and you saw the top be added there with the fake grommet. And then this comes together so nice and quickly. Here is the pocket, and I'm just sewing it all the way around it, and so I can turn it out. Now, before you do this is where you'd be adding the zipper, and so it's kind of like a welt zipper where you're going to be adding a square, you're going to cut out a rectangle, and then you can just top stitch your zipper in. But you know, she's 14. She doesn't have keys, so I thought just having a regular pocket would be just fine here. If you're doing this for wrapping paper, you can just skip the pocket altogether, or you can do it just like this so you can fit in tape and scissors. But I just did a normal patch pocket here, and you're just going to top stitch it to give it a little design element. As you can tell, trying to make sure that it tucks in perfectly. This was definitely a struggle for me for some reason. And then here I'm just adding on the detail and closing up the side seams here. So you're going to be adding on your pocket, and this I have it nice and tucked in, and you're just going to top stitch it on. And I love this little this mesh where I have regular fabric. It's just so adorable. Now, once you have it at this point, you're going to be adding on your straps to the side seams, and I have those marked in chalk, and then you close your side seams. Now, this is important. After you close your side seams, you need to do your casing. And then you can finish attaching your D-ring and everything else to your bag like you normally would. And then at the very end is when I actually added on the bottom of my bag. And this is just a circle, so you want to just make sure that you take your time with this. And here's the finished bag. Now, as you can tell from the finished pictures and video that I did change out the ties. I thought this matched really nicely, but then it ended up looking really busy to me. So I decided to go with just a black shoelace.
So let's say who you're sewing with is not into yoga. I know, it's crazy. But this is a perfect storage bag as well. It's perfect to hold wrapping paper. So if you make this in with some Christmas fabric to have somebody store their wrapping paper in, it is absolutely perfect for that as well. So this is not just a yoga mat carrier. It is a storage crossbody bag. So definitely this was such a fun pattern, not only to make, nice and quick and easy, but it turned out so cute. She's gonna love walking into yoga class with this. Like, seriously, I love it so much. It's gonna be hard to part with it, but she'll love it. I'm excited. Okay, So now let's go into, this is more of a tutorial on how to make a blanket scarf. So this is how my gift set turned out. I got a blanket scarf, and then I actually purchased this winter cap that has a silk inside so your hair's not totally a mess, and then with a lotion. So I think that this makes such a fun gift set. This fabric is some flannel shirting fabric, and I got it in a mystery bundle, and I kept trying to decide what to make with it, and I just could not decide for the life of me. So I got 2 yards, and it ended up being 60 inches wide with the 2 yards. And I read lots of tutorials that said use 44 inches, but I'm like, maybe if I cut this in half and get 2 blanket scarves, it will be worth it. And let me just show you on my body. Okay, I love blanket scarves, mostly because I'm cold all the time. I'm always cold. So this blanket scarf is just so easy. And I'm telling you, I think 44 inches might be a little big, but you know, I'm kind of new to this blanket scarf situation. But this turned out so cute, and this is exactly the perfect gift, I think, for so many people, especially if you don't know their size. Having a cute warm scarf is always perfect. And then it's perfect because you can just wrap yourself in it if you get somewhere and you're cold. This is like the whole point of a blanket scarf for me, is that you always have a little blanket. I don't think I'm showing this well. You always have a little blanket with you between my hair and the scarf. We're gonna get this figured out. In the meantime, let me show you how I made this.
I think that these big blanket scarves are so nice. They look so stylish. And I'm going to, even though I love them, I'm going to figure out all the different ways to wear them this year. That is a goal of mine. So what we're going to be doing is sewing a 1/2 inch seam allowance right here. And this is just a close straight stitch. If you bought your fabric and it's 44 inches wide, you can use that. If it's apparel fabric like I am using, I cut it in half in order to have 30-inch wide scarf. So it does seem big, but that's the whole point of these blanket scarves. Now, I like to stand and sew, and I sewed all of these within 2 to 3 days, and it was a lot. So sitting here fraying the edge of my scarf was so nice and relaxing. I like to use a needle, and I just go in between the weave, and I can pull out each individual thread. I find that this is the best way to go with it. You're not going to make too much damage, and it's going to look like a ready-to-wear scarf that you would buy with the adorable details. I'm trying to get as close as you can see, so you can see me grabbing each individual thread with the needle, and there you can see it. So you're just going to take that needle and take each individual thread out and then pull it down the length. Yes. Is this time consuming? Absolutely. Is it relaxing? In the best possible way. So if you would like a blanket scarf, I highly suggest you make one. So once I have it nice and frayed, as you can see right there, it's going to be time to serge up the sides. And this is so I can better control it with my rolled hem. But if you have a rolled hem foot, I would definitely suggest to use it here. But I just like to use the serge as a guide point because that gives me a 1/4 inch rolled hem every single time. And here's a different angle. Now, this gets a little bit long rolling hem. It's 2 yards, so that's going to be 12 feet that you are hemming up, but it is worth it. So this is a silk inside winter cap that I bought, and it goes perfectly with this handmade gift with a lotion. I love making gift sets of things I purchased as well as things I made. I think that they help save money as well as give this adorable look to both these things. So I think it's great. I hope you enjoy all these gift sets.
As you can see, it's so easy to make. It's definitely, I think it's worth your time. And then, you know, you get the fun of watching somebody figure out how to wrap themselves up. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your time, and I hope you got some really great ideas to make some really wonderful gifts. A like and subscribe would be amazing, but make sure that you have a wonderful, happy sewing this holiday season.
And here is all my gift sets together, and I love adding the little bows because it means I don't have to gift wrap, which I do not enjoy. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you again.